Time is 10 minutes past 10. Today is the 23rd of December 2012. My name is Abbas Temori. I am the elder of Baha'u'llah. And I'm going to put two more videos. One of them today, which is a summary of my mission and the planet Earth. So, let's go back to see what have I been saying to the Baha'is and what is the source of the problem. In the beginning, I will give you an outlook of what the Baha'i faith is and where the problem is. So you have a overview look at the matter. Essentially, the core of the Baha'i faith starts with four infallible individuals with different responsibility and two institutions. These four individuals are the holy figure of the Bab, which means the gate, the forerunner to the Baha'i faith, which is like John the Baptist. Baha'u'llah is the founder of the Baha'i faith, and he's the promised one of all the religions. He is the Jehovah, he is the Allah, he is the Father, he is the Amit Appa. He is what all the religions of the past were waiting for. Then Abdu'l, who is the interpreter of the writing of Baha'u'llah. He's not a prophet. He's just a holy interpreter, infallible, and the center of the covenant of the Baha'i faith. And after him is the grandson of Abdu'l. He had no sons, his grandson, who is Shoghi Effendi, who is also the infallible, holy figure in the Baha'i faith, who is the infallible interpreter of the writing. So this matter is clear. In the Baha'i faith also, there are two institutions. One is called the institution of universal laws of justice, the other one institution of guardianship. So we know this. What is the problem? There's no problem with the Bab. All the Baha'is accept it. There's no problem. Same as Baha'u'llah, same as Abdu'l, same as Shoghi Effendi. The problem starts after Shoghi Effendi. When Shoghi Effendi passed away in 1957, all the Baha'is, they were waiting for a second guardian after him, a possible successor, a son or anybody from the Holy Family. This did not happen. It created a lot of questions. Then the second issue is the matter of the institutions in the Baha'i faith. The universal laws of justice. It is very clear all over the writing that the Baha'is of the world, in every locality, they have to elect 9 people among themselves. That will be a local spiritual assembly. At the present time, in future, it will become local house of justice. Then, of course, you have the National Spiritual Assembly, which in future become National House of Justice. And then is the Universal House of Justice, which governs the whole world. This is an infallible institution with the function of legislating the new laws and order that was not revealed in the Baha'i faith, or could have not been revealed at that time for the entire durations of the Baha'i faith. So that matter is very clear. I have no qualm with any of it, and none of the Baha'is have any questions here. The question comes with the institution of guardianship. All the Baha'is, they think, when it comes to the institution of guardianship, that would be Shoghi Effendi's successor or successors. That there were none of them around. So this is the problem. I provided an answer to this dilemma, that who are or what is the successors of Shoghi Effendi, and how do we legally based on the Baha'i writing, we can have this institution of guardianship going. So this is where the problem is. I hope you got this, understand this right. I found in the writing that there is a possible way for certain individuals, not for everyone, to create the universal laws of guardianship, to stand side by side by the universal laws of justice. Baha'is, when they heard this, they said, no, you have no authority and jurisdiction to talk about these things, Mr. Tamori, and you're not even, you're not qualified, basically. So the only qualified leader we have is the universal laws of justice, as I said, is in the Baha'i faith, and that authority has casted you away. They have excommunicated you. They have branded you as the enemy of Baha'u'llah. I have not received any communication from Universal Laws of Justice to indicate that to me, but I've heard that there was a communique was sent within Canada to all the assemblies that I have gone outside of the faith. So far we understood what's going on. The way I've understood, Baha'i faith is like a Microsoft Windows, let's say. All the religions of God are. Let's say Moses, Windows 95. Jesus was Windows 98. It's all updates, same Windows, updating with the new features. Islam was Windows 2000, let's say. And Baha'i faith is Windows XP, if you like to know. So when Windows comes by God through his revealer, in this case, Baha'u'llah and the Baha'i faith, take him as matter of example, like Bill Gates, who brings this window to us, installed it in our computer. Baha'u'llah here brings a new window from God. It's called Windows XP, and the window called Baha'i faith, it's like Windows XP. He wants us to install this in our daily life in order to understand and live better. Just as the Microsoft, when it brings this window, it sends patches, because there's certain things is wrong. If you're familiar with this, you know. These are repairs that has to be done, little updates. This is customary to all the religions of the past. For example, after Moses, there are so many minor prophets. They came in, like Ezekiel, Daniel, and so on and so forth. They added to the book. Even after Jesus, the disciple comes, St. Paul comes, and so on. They added to the Bible. In Islam, after Muhammad, there were 12 imams who came in and did that. And there were other, people even after that. In the Baha'i faith, is exactly the same principles is going on. Page 300 of the Book of Light of Guidance. Shoghi Effendi very clearly, he says that after passing of Abdu'l Baha, which is the first interpreter, he says that Baha'u'llah will send from ordinary guys, ordinary men, he says, i.e. ordinary man, which he calls them guardians. Baha'u'llah chooses them to come and do his work in the planet, and he calls them guardians. That's what Shoghi Effendi says. So he says this is the sign of our maturity. He says the principles that we have to understand. And all the Baha'is are waiting for guardian to be chosen by Shoghi Effendi. Shoghi Effendi was the guardian of the faith, there's no doubt. He had to choose the successors after him. He did not, because it wasn't needed. I will discuss that. That's one source, which would be a divine guardianship, infallible guardianship. That did not happen. The first and the last was Shoghi Effendi. But there is another source of the guardians. There's actually three sources. There are elders, there are 5 of them in the Baha'i faith. There's one source of the eldership, guardianship. They're elders, they're not called guardians, but their responsibility is the responsibility of guardian, which is interpretations. Again, Shoghi Effendi says it. And finally, there's a general guardianship, that even after the 5 elders, till the end of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah will send his guardians to do so. So, let's go back. There's 2 things I'm going to discuss after this prelude. What did I say to the universal laws of justice? What was my solution to dilemma that is among the Baha'is? I can repeat that again. What are the questions? The questions mainly is that Abdu'l Baha says Shoghi Effendi has to choose his own successor, or else there will be differences among the Baha'is. Well, he did not choose. Therefore, there are differences right now. Is there really? Should there be? It's one of the questions. What happened? Why Shoghi Effendi did not choose? The second problem is that Shoghi Effendi himself talks about future guardians. Who are these guardians? If he did not have a son, if he is the one to choose and appoint the guardians, why does he talk about the guardians? And he's specific about what they're supposed to do, interpreting the writings. He goes on. Another question is that basically, why did Shoghi Effendi did not fully interpret the writings referring to the relationship of the present universal laws of justice with Baha'u'llah and Abdu'l Baha? It clearly says the relationship of universal laws of justice with Abdu'l Baha and Baha'u'llah is a matter that the future people have to elaborate on it. I just gave you some salient features, he says. So again, what is the relationship of universal laws of justice to the Baha'i faith, to Baha'u'llah, to Abdu'l Baha? There are many, many questions that you could ask. The 4 main questions is that Shoghi Effendi talks about a building called Dar al-Wilayah, or House of Guardianship, to be one of the 5 buildings in the Israel. That house has been changed now. It has a different name. Why would universal laws of justice, if they have, change the position of the 3rd building as to the House of Research Department? That's not what it's designated for. So what are we doing? Plunging our hand into the writing of God and choose what we think is right and what we think is not? So then the fate of this God is same as religions in the past. We do not have accomplished the mission. And Abdu'l Baha says, I swear to God, this religion is not like the religion of the past. There will be no doubt and no problem in the matter of covenant. Not like the religion past. He criticized it even. But yet we are in the same shoe. Okay. So we got this. These are the questions. At the very outset, I have to tell you this. That Baha'i faith is like a train, the caboose, the last has not arrived yet. The train is coming. It's not over. What am I talking about then? This goes like this. I told you about 4 individual infallible figures. There is some accessory to them. For example, in the Baha'i faith, there are 24 elders. They would have to appear. Abdu'l Baha says in the Some Answered Questions. Out of these 24, 19 of them is actually the 18 letters of the living or the first disciples of the Bab. One of these 24 elders is the Bab himself, which is a prophet of God. And 5 others who would have to come in future. So, the elders in the Baha'i faith, there are 24. 18 of them are called 18 letters of living, which are the first believers and the disciples of the Bab. They turned to become an elder in the Baha'i faith. The Bab himself was the prophet and manifestation of God. He turned to be one of the elders. There goes the 19 of them. 5 of them would have to still come. All these 5s, their mission is not very ordinary. I have all the reasons personally to know. I am one of them. Abdu'l, when refers to them, he says great persons. He says they reign eternally. So eternal reigners, commanding, divine commanders of God. This is almost to the status of the prophet, just a little bit below it. These five would have to come. Okay. When Abdu'l says in the some answered questions, they ask the same questions from Shoghi Effendi. Shoghi Effendi says about the 24 elders, they are the Bab and 18 letters of the living, and 5 others who will come in future. So far we do not know who these 5 others are. Look under the name elders in the light of guidance, you'll see this. What does this means? This again, it tells us that he, Shoghi Effendi, which we know him as a guardian in the Baha'i faith, he does not include himself to be one of them. He refers to them as elders. In writing of Abdu'l Baha, he calls them chosen ones and guardians. So right off the bat, we have 2 sets of guardians. One is Shoghi Effendi, and one are these other guardians, which he says 5 others. He does not say, I am one of them. They will come in future. Shoghi elaborates the matter. He doesn't say the 5 guardians are coming, so everyone wants to know, what are they supposed to do? Again, in the book, Dispensations of Baha'u'llah, which is a part of the Baha'u'llah's world order, in that place, Shoghi Effendi clearly says, at the present time, I'm giving you the salient features of the Baha'i administrations of these 2 institutions. To elaborate fully and interpret, he says, fully, what is the relationship of each one of these institutions, which is the universal laws of justice and the universal laws of guardianship, to Baha'u'llah and Abdu'l Baha, it is the task of the future generations to do. So we know what is to be done right there. At the present phase today, right now, we don't know what this universal laws of justice relation to Baha'u'llah is. Is it related to Baha'u'llah? Is it related to Abdu'l Baha? What kind of relation they have? Fully, it's not been interpreted and revealed. Now, many Baha'is says, big deal. Anybody can do that. Not really, because we're dealing with the doctrine of God, which is Baha'i faith. It's a criteria for us. We cannot come and fix this up or plunge again, as I said, our hand into it. We can't. Anything we do is technical, like these refrigerators. This work of God is natural. It's like a tree, you know. We cannot come in down and work with it. If we do, you know, we have corrupted it. This is scientifically, I'm telling you, but based on the writing, universal laws of justice, among everything they can do, one thing for sure they're not allowed to do, which is what? Interpreting the writings. And the universal laws of justice, ironically, in many occasions says this is not their prerogatives. This is the prerogative of the Shoghi Effendi and the guardian, not them. Okay, maybe then there are Baha'is, they can do that. No. In the Baha'i faith, people are not allowed to interpret the writing authentically. Okay, to be authenticated, you cannot call it interpretations. This is not allowed. Individuals are out of this jurisdiction. No individual Baha'i can. The Consular Qadirian, very good gentleman, he was asking me on the phone the last time I saw him. He says, how did you get the idea that elders, they can interpret? I told him, elders are guardians. Because Abdu'l says 24 guardians And the same 24 is used by Abdu'l, by Shoghi Effendi, but he calls them elders. So this 24 used to be guardian by Abdu'l Baha, used to be called elders by text of the Shoghi Effendi. Shoghi Effendi says, the future guardians of the faith, they do not have the spiritual station of Abdu'l Baha, but they can have exactly his responsibility. They could do that without actually being infallible. No, they can do it, he says. He goes on to say that they could be infinitely inferior than Abdu'l Baha. That's a big word, people. If an elder of God is infinitely inferior than Abdu'l Baha, he still can interpret. It seems the interpretation is something endowed, by God to these 5 elders. They could be anybody, it doesn't matter. Still, they can do their job. Infinitely inferior than Abdu'l Baha is not even a mosquito, because there are less than mosquito in the world. But he says elders can be dirt low, but still they are elders. And they can interpret. So far we understood what has to be interpreted, mentioned by Shoghi Effendi, and who has to do the interpretations. So, when we actually look into the Baha'i faith, then we see there's 3 types of guardianships, really. The first type of guardianship is the guardianship of Shoghi Effendi. It's very big. The word is infallible. He cannot make mistakes. He is the manifestation of God with a reference to the responsibility of the interpretations. Not revelation, but interpretations. He was supposed by Abdu'l Baha to have chosen the next one, the next successors. Although Abdu'l Baha has said that about Shoghi Effendi, the word of Abdu'l Baha could be completely changed, revoked by Shoghi Effendi. This is a very important principle in all the religions of God. A prophet of God can say something and can change it. Only he can, nobody else can. Okay? This is why the religions, they come after another. This changing power, the authorities. Abdu'l Baha can say something and he can change it himself. Shoghi Effendi can say something, change. Okay, they could. It goes as far as even universal laws of justice can enact a law now and later they can change it. These changing possibilities, it is in there. So if Abdu'l Baha says Shoghi Effendi is incumbent upon the guardian of the cause of God to appoint whom he should be succeed him, Shoghi Effendi decides otherwise. He can, you see, because they have both occupying same office. They are both interpreters. Do you see that? Abdu'l Baha said this for a very great reasons. He knew there will be a lot of imposters that they might come and say, I'm guardian. He knew that it's going to happen. This is why he specifically said Shoghi Effendi has to, so no one can tomorrow come and say that, hey, I am the guardian. See, this word of wisdom caught a lot of people from infringing upon this responsibility. So it is up to Shoghi Effendi. And Shoghi Effendi decided as an infallible interpreter that the main features of the Baha'i faith is all interpreted. He actually went over their duty, never mind interpretation. He even translated most of the books and he set a standard for how to translate. He even set all the buildings. He brought all the administration. He just did so much more than this. It's not that he didn't have time. Nothing more was needed than to say that what he did. He let the rest of it to be done by 5 elders. God knows this generation, they will go down. He has to test it. It's as simple as that. We people, we make something, we let it go 5-6 years to see how it works. Then we call it a recall. GM always that recall. Says change this, change that. God is not any different. Okay? Why is that? Because he's dealing with the intelligent being, which is us. I told you in the principles of the Baha'i faith, God does not know what's in the mind of a human being because he's given them willpower. And he will not infringe in that. He will not, God will allow man with his free will for these 60, 70 years that he's alive to do whatever hell he wants to do. He will not interfere. If he does interfere and he suppresses our will, then we become animal. But he already has a lot of animals who have no willpower. He made man, of his own will, he has given it to him to do his decisions. Therefore, he doesn't know what they do. God doesn't know. Don't let me get into that. If God knows tonight somebody is going to kill somebody and he doesn't do anything about it, that's a bad God. He simply doesn't know what the intelligent being is going to do. Yes, the God of the universe doesn't know. No. He can punish us like a father. He can kill his child. But would the father do that? No. What would the father do? He has to come in a nice way, says, my son, my daughter, don't do this. This is wrong for you. This is why he has the prophets and manifestation to come to tell us. Baha'u'llah knew, completely Shoghi Effendi knew, the Baha'i faith will come to this stage. As soon as God leaves, they don't know what to do. It's like I'm a contractor. I've said everything to my helper to do in order how to install this siding and soffit and this eavesdrop and whatnot. As long as I'm sitting there, he always does the good job. As soon as I go away, I'm not on the job site, a lot of questions come in his mind. Keep calling me, how do we do this, how do we do that? We couldn't do this, you are not here. Same problems with God. As long as Abdu'l and Shoghi Effendi is there, it seems everything goes perfectly. As soon as he goes, people make mistakes. Did hand of the cause of God made mistake by creating the universal laws of justice? Not really. They didn't. So let me go back now. The first one, therefore, is that of the Shoghi Effendi, which was not needed. The second type is these elders, which is a special and a specific guardianship. These guys, which I'm one of them, they will come and interpret what is actually in the writings and people don't see it. I've actually no mission except to tell you what's in the book. That's all. That's all what we said. And people are jumping up. They're fighting with us, whereas we have said nothing except what's in the book. The only extra thing that we said, the member of the universal laws of justice as the guardianship has to be women, and the fact that we are elders. That we oppose the fact that we say we are elders, and oppose the fact that the member of universal laws of guardianship has to be women. There's nothing else that we said that it's new, it's all in there. So this is a second phase of the guardianship. The third type of the guardianship, of course, is the one that is general. After these 5 elders are gone, the matter continues. These type of guardians are not chosen by Shoghi Effendi. They are not appointed by Shoghi Effendi. According to the writing of Shoghi Effendi, they are directly appointed by Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah doesn't die, if you believe in God. And Baha'u'llah is alive. He's more alive than he was there. Right now, somewhere he's listening to everything I'm saying. Actually, my video that I'm talking right now, it's just open like a television on the other plane to the people on the other side who do not know what to do. I'm speaking to them right now. This is the transmission of what I have is appearing on the other side. All right. So, Shoghi Effendi goes further. So we found out so far that there are 3 types of guardianship. Even after the 5 elders, according to page 300, right in there, guardianship, Shoghi Effendi explains it very, very, very clearly. Till the end of the Baha'i faith, there are guardians. And for Mr. David Rossetti of Toronto, was asking that, yeah, it seems stupid to a lot of people to think that 9 people got elected, there could be anybody, and they all related to the God of the universe. I told him it's not like that, Mr. Rossetti. It's not actually like that. The inspiration of God comes to the guardians. They will give this inspiration, pass on to the universal laws of justice. This is how the universal laws of justice gets inspired by God. We do not have two sources here. If I am the elder of God or the guardian, I'm inspired by Baha'u'llah to say this or to say that, and then there's also universal laws of justice, don't you think there's two of them, they might go haywire? Or why there should be two? There's never two, it's always there's one. So, if the guardian gets inspired, therefore his inspiration would be the source of the inspiration for the universal laws of justice. Universal laws of justice, and those 9 people, they get together, whatever prayer they want to do, that does not make them to be inspired by Baha'u'llah. No way. If it was, we would not have all these mistakes that I'm going to refer a few of them to you. All right. Somebody called me from the United States. He says that you're not to be talking about these things. I told him why. He said, well, you're a Baha'i, you're not allowed to talk. I said, allowed? I'm not allowed to talk? I told him, you know what? You find somebody, sir, that prove me I'm wrong. I will give $5,000 registered check written by Abbas Tamori to that individual. If they can bring any writings, the things that I don't know, the writings of the books that I have not seen, bring it over and prove me that I'm wrong. I'll give you $5,000. It is impossible, my brother and sister, it's impossible. So, the issue is very simple. There are 3 types of guardianship, and the guardianship of these 5 elders, which is the specific guardianship, has come to say to the Baha'is how to solve this issue of the guardianships. So, can we let go of the guardianship? Who the hell needs it? One of my old friends was telling me that, my God, we are all institutionalized by these institutions in the Baha'i faith. Can we just stop it? What this institution are going to do? Assembly, I don't know, this committee, that committee. You're creating another institution. Just adds to the conundrum. That doesn't solve the problem. I told him, it might seem that way to your mind, but I do not use my mind in explaining this. I'm too little, brother. This is done by the creator of the universe. This entire material universe, which seems so big to you, is in a speck of what I know God has created. The entire impossible knowledge that you could have is nothing but the womb of a mother, of so many other things that God has created. The word creation is not even applicable to those things. So that God of the universe has said that if you do not have the institution of guardianship, you let go of it. He says the entire fabric of the Baha'i faith will crumble. There is no faith left. Consider it dead, gone, ganzo. Again, he says that this isn't the Baha'u'llah's dispensation of Baha'u'llah, and the world order of Baha'u'llah. It says any other measures to be taken, I'm all paraphrasing, any measures to be taken which is less than what God has revealed is not going to succeed. It might create lesser peace, but that's all. It doesn't go furthermore. All right? Okay. So, what did we say about the solution? Solution we found is very simple. So, Shawi Effendi did not choose a person, but he chose an institution instead. Yes. He actually ordered a physical building to be built in Israel. Just like we have the seat of universal laws of justice, he calls it the Darul Velayat, the house of guardianship. And then he elucidated what the responsibility is. Their responsibility is to interpret, commentary, and the purport of the holy text in complementation to the universal laws of justice. So issue again is clear. We have to have a physical building called House of Guardianship. There the interpretation take place. Okay? Who's going to say these things? An authority who's called an elder. The authority which according to the faith can interpret the writing. Baha'is cannot, universal laws of justice cannot, then who remains? Future guardians. Who are these elders? They say you could do this. Very simple. What would they do there? They interpret the writings. Who are the members of it? This is our postulations. We said the members, they have to be only women, not men. Because in the universal laws of justice there are 9 men. So corresponding to that, there has to be 5 women. 9 because the number of Baha, B-H-A-A, is 9 numerically, and Bab, B-A-B, means 5. So we said minimum of 9 for Baha, member male, universal laws of justice, 5 member women, equals the letter of the Bab, for the universal laws of guardianship. We have 2 prophets, Bab and Baha'u'llah. So to translate it in the earth as a kingdom of God, you have to have universal laws of justice representing Baha'u'llah, universal laws of guardianship representing the Bab. Just like the space, the binaries, there are 2 prophets here. 2 full measure prophet, 2 suns. They are revolving around each other, a binary system. So, universal laws of justice bring the new laws that was not enacted, but we don't call them prophets. No, the institution is infallible, not the individuals. And the laws that they bring, it is not to revoke and cancel the laws of Baha'u'llah. Extra over what Baha'u'llah has revealed they can bring. The same is with the universal laws of guardianship. They do not revoke or cancel the interpretations of Shoghi Effendi and Abdu'l. Within that framework, continue to interpret what is needed to be interpreted. These 2 interpretations, the interpretations of the guardianship, institution of guardianship, and enactment of the universal laws of justice together complement each other. At the present time, universal laws of justice cannot legislate any laws. You know why? Because Shoghi Effendi and Abdu'l has put every Baha'i on guard. He has told us that universal laws of justice cannot, should not bring any law, any words that it is not within the framework of the Baha'i faith. Something he would have done it himself, he said, if I was around. Who's going to continue his job? His successor. Who is that? The institution of guardianship. For Baha'u'llah, turned into an institution. Universal laws of justice. Shoghi Effendi turns into an institution. We call it what? Institution of guardianship. So universal laws of justice, if he says something right now, all the Baha'is say, oh, this is not according to writing, this is this is that. It's anarchy at the present time. But if we have a universal laws of guardianship, whose job is to know what the meaning of the books are, based on what criteria? Criteria of the principles of the Baha'i faith. Religion has to be according to science and logic. These ladies down there, which are committees all around the world, they based on scientific measures and the books, they'll say, for example, smoking is harmful to people. But that cannot be a law. It is just what it is that they said. Who can make this law, this finding to be law? Universal laws of justice. What is their basis? The interpretation of the universal laws of guardianship. Now there's peace, isn't it? And all the women in the world that they're saying that it is preposterous that the Baha'is are talking about equality, but the women on the top, they have no roles. Abdu'l says just like a sun in the middle of the sky. You'll find out the meaning. The meaning is this: there has to be universal laws of guardianship. Okay, so this issue is now clear. I told you there are two accessories institutions in the Baha'i faith besides these four infallible. Who are those? Bab, Baha'u'llah, Abdu'l, Shoghi Effendi. But there are two accessory institutions. I said one of them was what? 24 elders. Who are these? 18 of them are called letters of living. One of them is actually Prophet of God, the Bab. 19. 5 of them in future. So, but there's another institution, I forgot to tell you that right now. It's called the institution of the hands of the cause of God. Alright? The hands of the cause of God, there are a lot of them, many, but at the Ascension of Shoghi Effendi there were 27 of them left. They are designed by Shoghi Effendi, actually by Abdu'l Baha in the Holy Writing, that they are the assistants to the Shoghi Effendi. Shoghi Effendi, basically, they continue the work of Shoghi Effendi. At a 10 years plan, when it's finished, they ask all the Baha'is of the world to get together and vote and created what? Universal House of Justice that we have right now. Elders are here to do the same job as the universal, as the hands of the cause of God in doing what? To ask the Baha'is to vote, to have the universal house of guardianship. Now in between, there are many other solutions that have come around. One of the big ones, that unfortunate ones, is those of the Mason-Remis. Mason-Remi was the hands of the cause of God. He's one of these 27's assistant to the Shoghi Effendi. This guy, only God knows, found that there should be an institution of guardianship. Why is it not around? So he went out of his way. He decided to say, I am the guardians. He made a mistake. Because according to the book, guardian has to be chosen by who? By Shoghi Effendi, if he is to be the successor of Shoghi Effendi. This is what he said. This is where he's wrong. This is what Abdu'l Baha prevented him to say. He didn't get the message. The other guardians are not chosen by Shoghi Effendi. They're chosen by Baha'u'llah. That's different. That's a general guardianship. Even if he said I'm one of the elders, that could be wrong. Why is that? It's because Shoghi Effendi, who is infallible, already told him, you are hands of the cause of God. That means you're locked in. You can't change this. I can't. Unless you ask Shoghi Effendi to change it. Nobody else can change it. You have no authority to change it even yourself. You are marked. Like those funds, you know, that's earmarked. He was earmarked that you are, what? Hands of the cause of God. Therefore, you have no more right than the other 26 hands of the cause of God. You can't go outside of your jurisdiction and say all of those 26 is wrong. He couldn't do that. That's where his mistake is. He didn't understand. This is the problem. Azal, who was after the Bab, he didn't understand also the message. Bab told him, you are the chief of the Babis, which means this is restricted. That's who you are. You can't go further more. That was the restriction put upon him. How could he dispute with Baha'u'llah, who's the master of the Bab? He has no jurisdiction on that realm to say a word. He forgot. He thought Bab gave him such a big status. No. Bab pointed at you. He knew you are a son of a gun. He told you, Mr. Azal, you are the chief of the Babis, and he told you another things in that writings all over the internet. do not change the writings. Bob has never said to anybody anything like this, not to change the writing, except to this guy. Because you have to be a serious bastard that you want to actually pervert the book of God. Except to this guy. He says, oh, mister, do not change. And he went and changed it. I have the evidences of it. I gave it to that Mr. Milani. He was asking me. 2 writings of Azal. In one, he's just changing, corrupting the writings. He didn't get it. Mr. Mason Remy also did not get it. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. Only Baha'u'llah knows. Okay, what his intention was. It's proven that he was suffering from certain psychological sickness, you see. Only God knows the intention. I'm not worried about him. I'm not just judging him at all. I'm judging what happened. Based on the writing, he had no jurisdiction to step outside of the framework of the responsibility of the hands of the cause of God. If he says, I'm bigger than that, then he went against Shoghi Effendi. Because Shoghi said, you're this, you're not, you can't then be more than that. A person who has had no title from Shoghi Effendi could have come and said, I am elder. You know, then you have to look at him at his own merit. But this fellow, or any hands of the cause of God for that matter, cannot and could not go outside of their jurisdiction. But this happens all the time, in all the religions, including one of these elders. He faltered, went away. So, I've written a few things here. This matter, then, I think it's been solved. Now, I'm going to go to the second one, the third one, the third issue that I'm going to be discussed today here. And then they're saying to me, Mr. Temuri, you're a good fellow. We heard your stories. You're a dedicated Baha'i. You've done what you could as a Baha'i in your life. But then there was a lot more. So many others are there. After all, Baha'i faith is not alien to the service. What went on you, what you have gone through, there's literally thousands of it. I agree, actually. I don't think I'm any prominent in my lifestyle. You know, certain things, you know, I've done. I've been always on the faith simply because I liked it. Quite honestly, it's my hobby. I'm not going to change it. I've learned to enjoy it, always. For now, I enjoy it. Whatever God thinks of it, I don't know. So they said, well, you agree. We don't know why you're calling yourself an elder. One of them said, I do not have any detective to say, okay, Mr. Temuri, you are an elder or you're not. Is your name in the books? Did Shoghi Effendi said Abbas Temuri will come? Did he give date? Do you have any text referring to? I says no. So there you go. So the whole claim of yours is based on assumption. I'm not even repudiating you. I say, go ahead, call yourself an elder. It's good for you. But if it's going to be good for entire mankind, for the Baha'i community, never mind these 7 million Baha'is, we will have billions in future. They're not just going to accept this. You're going to have to come up with some solid, you know, things to say it. Well, I guess my lifestyle is not so great. It's all in the internet. On the YouTubes, my story from Iran to India to Canada, what the Baha'is have done to me. Really an ostracized individual. I have to say that if the word wronged one, Baha'u'llah says, he's been wronged one, they tried to make me the wronged one. They did not succeed. I have not been wronged. I always defended fiercely. That's what my name Abbas is. I am a fighter. I do not accept defeat. No. I will die sooner. No defeat. So, what do we do? Persian Baha'is, they know. and now even Canadians. I guess one of the things that you're expecting from a prophet of God, in this case not a prophet, just an elder, is that he has a unique set of knowledge, better than others. 400 videos are there, you be the judge of it. But in Persian, I wrote Masnavis when I was 17 and 18 years old, 19 years old. Those are the marvels of the Persian literature. Not according to me, according to one of the Dr. Ali Akbar Tabana, who works for Universal House of Justice. He said, you're the return of Rumi. He said, your writing is amazing. I cannot believe you wrote it at that age. I said, well, you know, sometimes Baha'u'llah chooses strange people. And people are out there, they think that, oh, this guy's an elder, we're not, you know. I personally found that my eldership is a punishment to me. Because I love Baha'u'llah very much, and he knows it, but then I broke all the laws. Every laws. But Baha'u'llah, I love him. It's okay. The only way you can, Mr., break these laws, you have to prove to me that you're above the law. I'm going to make you an elder. These actions of yours is tantamount to that. It's like a student who failed many areas. They tell him, okay, there's one chance. Now you're going to have to do the big, huge one. If you don't, you're out. As an elder, I'm like James Bond, 007. I do any damn things that I want to do. Tell you quite honestly right now. Nothing can prevent me. Nothing. All right. I do not go with your book. I'm elder of God. We go with what is called prime directive of the universe. We use a different book. Okay? The book is in our conscience. We do not break the eternal law. We never do that. As an elder, it's a tough job. Very tough, guys. Frustrated. Frustration is very much. Non-response, so much. La. I don't know if I've done it right or wrong. I don't know. If I say I've done it right, then I've broken the prime directive. I cannot say. My judge has to be Baha'u'llah. I did what I could. What was I told I did? So, but all this writing, knowledge, service, these are still generals. A lot of people have done that. So should we believe anybody who was ready to be martyred, who's written hundreds of books, I don't know, gave billions of dollars, did all of that, then is elder. Is it possible? No. God has given us elders something very specific, a weapon that no one has it. To you, Baha'is, to know I'm an elder of God or not, is this. Universal House of Justice, you all believe is infallible. Writing says so. I actually believe that it will become infallible as a functional infallible when it's working with the Universal House of Guardianship. On its own, without accepting the institution of guardianship, it's crumpled, it's dead, it's no good. This is the word of Shaw Effendi. But you don't believe, you don't share my opinion. You think Universal House of Justice is infallible. You shunned me because they said so. You think your election democratically, whatever it is, it will become legitimate. It is not actually. The legitimacy of the Universal House of Justice and the National Assembly and the local spiritual assembly is only if it is assembled through the way it says, manufacturer's way to assemble it. or else it doesn't work. Any 9 people get together and elect 9, that 9 will not become assembly. There are certain prime directives that has to be carried away. If it's not carried out, it's not going to work. So, these universal laws of justice of yours, which is universal laws of justice, but it's not functioning, I have to tell you that. So, they made mistake. Not relative to you, perhaps, but relative to me. I have their letters, is on the website. They said to me, Mr. Temori, there aren't 5 elders. There's 4 elders to be known, not 5. I told them it's funny, there has to be 5. They said, no, you don't know, Mr. Temori, that there was another elder over the 19 was appointed by Abdu'l, the guy who built the first Baha'i temple in Ashgabat in Russia. He also was appointed as one of the elders. Therefore, it's not 19, it's 20, so we need only 4. I told him, is that it? He said, yeah. I said to Mr. Qadirian, it was so funny. Because of the original 18, one of them faltered away. He was excommunicated, casted away by Baha'u'llah. These guys participated with the arch enemy of Baha'u'llah, Azal, poisoned Baha'u'llah, poisoned the Baha'is. Just like Judas. One fell down. Not became a non-Baha'i, he became the enemy of Baha'u'llah. His name is Hadi Ghazvini. There you go. They said, where? I told them so and so and so and so books. Hands of the Cause of God has written a lexicon where he talks about this, Hadi Ghazvini, and the writings of it. Some of it you could find it in the epistle of Baha'u'llah to the son of the wolf at the very end. O Hadi. Look at it, H-A-D-I. This Hadi fellow was kicked out by Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah called him. He said, thou hast taken bail for your God, which is referring to Azal. So I said, one of them is out, one of them is in. If universal laws of justice of yours is infallible, why did they came out short when they dealt with me? Because I'm a specialist. This is the weapon. If that is infallible and you believe in it, then you gotta, based on that, you gotta believe in me, that I am, my knowledge, my finding is beyond them. This is one of them. I found so many of it. But this is major. The other thing that they did, my God, this is a big one. The actual Darul Velayah, House of Guardianship, they changed it to the Research Department of the Universal Laws of Justice. I said to the consular, why is that? They said, well, there was supposed to be a guardian, but he's not there, so we have to do something. This is what we did. I said, so if you can't solve the problem, you think that Shoghi Effendi made a mistake or something is wrong with the Baha'i faith, and then you went to patch it? I said, you were wrong. You cannot change the writing of Shoghi Effendi, especially after Universal Laws of Justice says. The writing of the Shoghi Effendi is a statement of the truth that cannot be varied. When they say this, then they go change it. I'm not so happy because of this. I wish it would not happen. Then I would have not been needed to come. But as soon as the mistake happens, the patch is sent in. See, that's me. I'm coming in. When I'm coming around, there's something wrong. That's another big one, isn't it? They're not supposed to interpret the writing. They themselves say that. So in their letter tell me that Why did Shaykh Effendi says there are 5 elders? Because they told me that there's only 4 elders to be known. The question was then, why did Shaykh Effendi, who comes after Abdu'l, says only there's 5 elders to be known? He says 5. They said the reason is that there must be a great reason, divine wisdom, for Shaykh Effendi not to mention the guy who built the first Baha'i temple in Russia to the Western Baha'is. Did Shaykh Effendi discriminate against the Western Baha'is? Why wouldn't he tell to the Western Baha'is the guy who built the Baha'i temple is also another elder, therefore there's 4? Why wouldn't he say? Isn't this to you as an interpretation of the writings? It is. This is not what they're supposed to do. This is why I'm around. This is the reason why I am an elder of God. This is why I'm right. If you don't understand this, then you don't want to understand it. Okay? You don't want to. So, now you might ask me, okay, what do you want done, Mr. Timori? People, believe me, you are looking at me as a human being sitting and talking to you. This was the reason that a lot of people who saw Baha'u'llah, they could not believe in him. Let me tell you a little bit about the psychology of Azal. Azal was 13 years younger than Baha'u'llah. He was with Baha'u'llah. He always says that, why should he be the manifestation of God, where his name even is not mentioned by the Bab? Why shouldn't I be? Why shouldn't he follow me? I know my brother. I know his shortcoming. Because in the thing maybe he saw one day Baha'u'llah slap somebody, God knows, whatever he saw. They could have seen it. That's all right. Baha'u'llah can do anything he wants anyways. Doesn't stop him from being who he is. He's like a shepherd. Shepherd can do anything in front of the sheep. Sheep, they don't understand anyways. Okay? So, when I was saying that, Baha'u'llah just got lucky. That's it. That's it. I'm just not lucky. And he just goes and does these writings, crazy writing, and he thinks, oh, Bob didn't know what he was talking about also. I'm just going to copycat that and say a lot of things. He just missed it. Because he thought Baha'u'llah is just an ordinary guy. He was. Baha'u'llah is also an ordinary animal. He's also a vegetable. Has a body. His body is like a tree. He has this animal spirit in him, just like us. He's also human like us, but he's something else, guys. You just do not know what that is. I know who he is. You don't know. You cannot know. Do not make mistake. You're seen as an ordinary guy sitting here. Who has ever been in the Baha'i faith to come down and find a solution to this matter of guardianship like I did? If you found anybody, say I'm wrong. If you didn't, then I am the guy. If the message is right, probably messenger is right too. What do I want from you? Do I want all the Baha'is to come and obey me? No way. I'm sorry, I do not give that privilege to you. I actually reject you all to be my followers. Baha'u'llah is kinder than me. Go to him. I do not accept you. My standard is not you. Do I want money from you? No. You can't just give me anything. But if you want to solve the problem, I know how to do it. Let's go to your bosses, the one who accepted universal laws of justice. I do not actually want them to come up to a decision in my lifetime to say I'm an elder or not. I don't want them to do that. Because I might get sued. I installed an eavesdrop 20 years ago. You know how this is in North America. They go, oh, your eavesdrop fell down, somebody's head broken. They come and sue me, and then Baha'i faith goes along with me. So I don't want, I am an elder, I tell you I am, but I don't want universal laws of justice to actually say I am an elder to you. If you ask a question, they have to say that is pending on the death of Mr. Temori. When he dies, we will reveal whatever it is that we want to say. Until then, we're not going to. Then I want unlimited account, unlimited amount of money. It has to go to an account. It's not in my name even. This account is very simple. It says today this money came, today this money went, and this is the balance. Every day, everyone in the world, any person can audit it. I have enough money for myself to live my life. What we want to do, we want to start a huge, huge teaching project. It has to start in Saskatchewan. This is not teaching the Baha'i faith like what you know. I'm creating a compound of 500-600 units, so studio units. All these people on welfare, they come and rent it. I give the rent back to them as long as they stay in the classes, where we teach the entire minimum knowledge that is required for a human being to survive. From astronomy to all the religions, history of Canada, history of the world, everything. And then a job on the side, whether it's plumbing or electrical or any other things. They're salesmen, they go in the morning, sell the jobs. These guys, they go back to work. We want to create a new standard. This is a practical Baha'i faith. There's more money, it will go in all the cities in Canada. My job is to teach those guys who are going to do this. Those that I take as a student, they all will meet Baha'u'llah in person. Yes, in the dream. They know it's real. That's my requirement. So it's big, eh? Once I teach these people, I tell them, send them to the cities. The only enemies we will have is the drug dealers, drug users, drug dealers, because we're not going to use the drugs anymore. These guys that we have, they don't. And the churches. But we will minimize that by incorporating the churches into Baha'i faith by teaching the proper teaching of the Christianity. We're not against them at all. Baha'i faith has not come to fight any religion. They want to say what the real Christianity is. You want to stay there, stay there. Okay. This is going to spread. I promise you. And we're going to take over this country, along with it all other 5 Anglo-Saxons country in the world. Huge thing is going to happen. Very big things. Anybody who becomes a Baha'i, it will have to be registered under Local Spiritual Assembly of Saskatoon and under National Spiritual Assembly of Canada. This is what I want Universal to tell them that. I am teaching, but we do not have 2 types of Baha'is. They all have to be registered there. Principles are the same thing. And then as the Baha'is, they come in, they will elect themselves. Things will get rectified and changed. If Universal Laws of Justice wants a miracle even, I will perform for them only. This is not a show business, but I will give it to them. But there's something else going on, bigger than that. There's a force of destruction that's coming to the planet. Latinos are going to get south of the United States, nothing can stop them. Blacks are going to go to the south of Europe, so Vatican will be taken away, even the bricks on the floor. Chinese, through an incident, they end up going towards Australia. Big upheaval. You have heard that Greenland is going to become green, but I tell you all the east coast is going to go underwater. There's some airborne viruses are going to attack. All this destructive force that's coming, There's no constructive war to confront it. I cannot stop it, I'll tell you that right now. These are sets in motion long time ago, from 1844, when mankind gradually disobeyed the cause of God. Now it's a big hip of tsunami is coming. Nothing can stop it. But we can confront it with a constructive work in Canada. I'm hoping at the end of the mission, I have England, Canada, United States, New Zealand, Ireland, Australia to form the first phase of the universal government in the Western Hemisphere. I'm hoping Chinese and the Mongolian race to have another phase of the universal government. Continental phases of the universal government to happen. Same as in Europe and Africa. You have to deal with the issue. And then we're starting seriously disarming the world and going back to the real battle with the nature. We're going to be having a lot of battle with the nature in future. Big ones coming. We don't know what we have done. We're gone out of proportion. A lot of this stuff is going to happen. If this planet is going to survive, we have to know where the front is to fight there. All of our energy. Those are the things I'm capable of doing it. But I'm going to quit. I am going to quit. I tell you why. I have no choice. I have to quit. My father and your father did quit at one point. Yes, God also quits. Sometimes he let go, okay? The whole planet is not even a speck of dust. If I say that I have glorified the earth, it's not even that much. Souls are though. Every soul has got infinite volume. And the soul production is going down in the earth. It's gone very much down. Down, down, down. That is my final video tomorrow. Allahu Akbar.